Welcome to Welcome to Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of Ruth, chapter 2, verse 11. And Boaz answered and said unto her, It hath fully been showed me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thy husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother in the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knowest not hereof. And I'm going to repeat that. Oops, sorry. And Boaz answered and said unto her, It hath been fully been showed me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thy husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother in the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knowest not hereof. Just like Boaz had seen and heard of all the things that she had done and allowed her to be taken care of in gleaning his field, God sees all that we do. Our loyalty is definitely noticed. And if Ruth isn't a perfect example, I'm going to show you not only Ruth was a perfect example, but Naomi is also a perfect example. Ruth had suffered a tragic loss, her husband and a brother-in-law. And even in her loss, she chooses to remain loyal. She chooses to stay with Naomi, and that meant an even harder life and way more suffering and much loneliness. It would have been easier for her to go back to her family again, get her a new, younger husband, and leave Naomi to suffer all by herself. But now let's look at Naomi. Naomi also suffered major tragic. She lost her husband, then she lost her sons. But did she once blame God? No, actually she did not. If you was to read later in the story, when she goes back home, she tells her people that God is not pleased with me. So she thinks she did something that God is not happy or pleased of, and so she even wanted to change her name. She wasn't mad at him. She just said he was displeased with her, that there was something that she did. I bet she was thinking that the fact that her and her husband had left that area in a time of famine means they didn't have no faith and no trust in their God to provide for them in a time of famine, that they left and went somewhere else and went to another city that worshiped and praised other gods. Oh, how do we not do the same in this world? We chase after jobs and we chase after such dreams and things of this world, so we can be more prosperous, so we can have bigger and better things, have more food, have a bigger house, have big cars. Chasing things of this world instead of fully putting our trust in God, who said, what? I will provide for you. But we're so focused on this lifespan that we forget the bigger picture. Our lifespan that is of eternity. So we got this whole big rope, but we're just focused on the last part of that rope, or the beginning part of the rope, whichever way you want to look at it. Well, actually, it has to be the, beginning part, but I'm just saying we're just focused on we're only paying attention to what is right in front of us, the here and the now. And even though Naomi and Ruth didn't quite see the bigger picture, their actions of leaving there in the here and now to go back to her homeland still worked out for their benefit in here, because why? They was coming back home. They was like the prodigal son coming home. She was coming back to her people, to where God had her in the first place. And see, that Ruth's loyalty to Naomi ended up being blessed. God saw the loyalty, and he blessed her. Not only was she married, but was, instead of working in the field, now she became the owner of the fields that she was working in. Naomi was no longer without child, but God blessed her with a grandchild. And not only a grandchild, but got a new son-in-law. Is not just a mother without a family, but now has a new family and is in charge of a big major household now. Well, I don't know if you would call it in charge now, but the mother of a new household. But she was left without none. Now she has so much, all because she still remembered and still stayed loyal. Both of them remained loyal to God through all of their suffering, all of their loss, all of their pain. Instead of running away from God, they ran towards God. In fact, almost all the stories in the Bible keep repeating and showing, especially the Israelites, of how when they ran from God, God still listened to them, but they came running back towards God. See, we are never alone. God would never forsaken us. You know, even when he told the Israelites, I am done with you. I am not going to listen to you no more. And he gave them over to the enemy. And the enemy took them hostage and took them bondage and did with them as they pleased after years of crying out to God. What did God do? He sent people. He sent prophets. He even unhardened the hearts of kings of Babylon to free them. Sent Moses to free them. God would never forsaken us. We just can never forsaken our God. He rewards those who is loyal to him. But he says in the scriptures that if you are his child, that he would take care of you. Does he not feed the birds? Then why wouldn't he feed you? It also says in the scripture that if an evil sinner parent, referring to all of us humans, because we are conceived and born of sin, we are evildoers, that if we can be good, when our children ask us for something and we give it to them, if they ask for something to eat, are we going to give them a rock? No, we feed them. Now, I'm sorry, there are some people who had such parents who did such evil things, but I'm speaking in a general manner. God bless you and your family, those who had gone through that. But if an evil sinner parent can feed his children, then why wouldn't God take care of his own children? Now that is coming out of God's mouth in the scriptures, him specifically saying those words. Not those specific words, but you know what I meant. He would take care of us. In fact, we can see time and time again in the scriptures of many of the stories where people were loyal and stayed true to their God, how God has blessed us and came through. We've got Daniel in the lion's den, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. We have David and Goliath because they was loyal and faithful to God. We have Esther, stay true to her people, stay true to her God. Mordecai, who was staying true to his God, refused to acknowledge and bow down before man because God was his only king and was rewarded second in the highest. Joseph, who stayed loyal to God even though his brothers tried to sell him, tried to kill him, put him into a pit, but he remained true to God. And how did God bless him? Stay loyal to God